Hey, this is Big Country with Big Country Survival. And here's part two of my prepping group family video. I'm not really sure what I'm going to title these videos um, yet. So, as I was mentioning in the first video, the part one, there's family members that are not going to be welcome in my location. They are not going to get a handout from me. Family or not, if you do not have anything to bring to the table, you're not even a good worker. You're a mooch. You cause hate and discontent. That's the basics. Those kinds of people you really don't want in your location. Because you got to look out for the ones that you have. Immediate family. As a man, that is my top priority, to protect my family, my immediate family. And I look out for all others after that. That's how I was designed by God. That is how nature intended there. I managed to maybe keep things a little, if you don't believe in God, you ought to. But anyway, that is how man was designed, as protectors and providers. So, anyway, mental block. Sorry, I keep hearing things going on outside and all of that. It just breaks my concentration. Threat Eliminator. One of them. It helps if you're handy. You can make stuff. That's something you might want to consider looking for in group. Someone to add to your group. That's the thing. Family aside, you need someone who can bring something to the table. You need people in your group. Everyone should have a well-rounded education when it comes to that kind of stuff. Everyone should have, you ought to be able to do some gardening. You ought to be able to do some form of animal husbandry, some level. You ought to be able to make tools, some basic tools. You ought to have some basic understanding of the concept. Fire building, shelter building, animal husband. I already said that. Home repair, security, medical. Everyone ought to have those basics, like at least the basics covered on that. When you are handpicking people for your group, one of the good things, if you can find some of the older generation that are still in decent shape, grandpa, the tough old codger who's in his 70s or his 80s, and he's just too tough to roll over and die. He keeps going. He goes out and he feeds his cows every morning, goes out and does this, that, and the other, and is busy all day. Them's the kind of old folks that you want. because they have knowledge too. When I say old codger, I do not mean it insulting. Um, just to let you know. A young man, his power is in the strength of his back. Old man, it's in the gray hairs on his head. Because he's got a lot of knowledge up there, most likely. But he has something to bring to the table. So you need to look for those sorts of things. You don't want to have just a bunch of college guys, fresh out of college, fresh out of high school, whatever. You don't want a bunch of those guys necessarily, or gals. You want to have a varied age and a varied skill level and a varied. I mean, because you know what? There's some people that they're, bless their heart, nothing against them, but their intelligence level is that of a general laborer. Um, they are good at working. There's some people that aren't even that good at that, but I'm talking about people that you would want. There are some people, and you can tell them and explain them how to do something, and they can do it, but they can't think ahead. They can't riddle it out. They're not mechanically inclined or, anything like that. Um, the kind of people that you have to explain it to them. You have to be there, explain it to them. And you know what? Those people are useful. They really are. They're good on a job site. If someone shows up, when we're talking work here, but, if someone shows up and does their job and doesn't complain about it, and, they just show up and they work, and, you can't really ask for any more than that, especially in today's current job environment and those that we have to work them. I didn't fill out an application for the job I'm working at. I did not. I showed up. Someone that worked there told the boss about me. I showed up for an interview. I was hired before I showed up. Because of where I was at, they knew I was the kind of guy that would show up on time, do what he was told, do the job. You need those kinds of people in your group and at your workplace. You need the skilled craftsman as well. Find that guy that's into making swords. Because you know what? If he can forge swords, he could probably make about anything you want. Might take a little riddling out, but he could probably make you about anything. He could make a sai, or he could make hose, or an axe, a hatchet, tomahawk, whatever. He could probably do it. Find you that guy who's forgotten more about the construction industry or moving dirt. Find that guy that's forgotten more about that stuff, than you will ever know. You want those kinds of guys. Because one thing, you need to get those skills too. And you don't want to have a group that's solely composed of, guys that can run security. Guys with combative training, so to speak. That's important. But you don't want that to be the only thing that your group has. Because that leads you down a path of marauding. Because if y'all are good with guns and no one in your group knows how to, you know, raise a garden, um, you're going to run out of food at some point. And then you're probably going to have to take to stealing at gunpoint. And what does the good book say about this? He who liveth by the sword dieth by it also. You know what? It all hits the fan or it doesn't. My dream is to be sitting on a rocking chair on my front porch and rocking, bouncing grandchildren on my knee. I want to live to be an old man. I do not want to die young by the hands of a gun or by the hands of a bad person or a good person or anybody shooting me. I don't want to die that way. So you know what? I'm going to do everything in my power to prevent that from happening. And one of those ways is to leave everyone else the heck alone. Not try and take their stuff. Get your own stuff. So, take that for what it's worth. But you can't just show up with a bunch of guys who are good with guns and all have AR-15s and, expect to make it. Because you'll eventually get killed. You will. Good people will eventually kill you. You will eventually run into the wrong guy. So that's not an option for your group. You don't want that. If you're watching this channel, you're watching some of these prepping channels. Some of them aren't really prepping channels, but if you're watching some of these, you're probably a little more intelligent than that. You understand the concept that marauding will not get you anywhere in the long term. So, there we are. You need a varied skill level in your group. It's just as simple as that. You can have one person who's really good with medicine, but y'all should be competent with medicine because that person could be the one needing operating on. And they might not be coherent to even explain what to do. Or they could die. And then you're up a creek without a paddle. You should have a basic level of first aid, at least. You should have basic level of animal husbandry and of, just agriculture in general. You should be able to do that kind of basic stuff. You should all be riflemen, if need be. The Minuteman. That's what America stands for. That's self-reliance. You do not need a government agency to provide for you. That's true Americanism. Because Americanism is like, heck with the system. I don't need the system. I don't need the government to take care of me. I can take care of myself. Well, just think about that. Hopefully there were some good nuggets of information buried in there. Please like and subscribe. This is Big Country Survival. God bless. I'm out.